Us in the PSL during the open window season. We are joined in the studio by SABC Digital sports producer Sipho Kekana. Good morning and welcome to AM News.
Thank you for having me, Maruma.
It's that time of the season again now. Kaiser Chiefs went up and showed that actually they mean business. They want to defend this league. Do you really agree that they are on course in getting to where they want to be at come end of 2015-2016 season?
I think they've made some very good signings. Looking at Abro, who's actually who we know that there's actually a dispute regarding. There's also likes of Lucky Baloyi. All the players that they've brought in are very good players, and they will add something to. They will of course add something to the team. The coach that they've brought in, Steve Komphela, I think he's also a very good coach. He's been around. Well, statistically, he is not the best that Chiefs could have gone for.
But firstly, before we talk about the coach, let's talk about Abro.
Yeah.
Season in, season out, we always see players signing pre-contracts with pre-season contracts with certain teams and ended up signing with the other. Why is that? Is there a lack of advice when it comes from their managers, or what could be the case here?
Yeah, I think people take chances. I'm not saying Abro is taking chances, but you know, these players sometimes are not well equipped when it comes to understanding these legal matters. Sometimes they get into a pre-contract with a club, and then another club comes up and offers a much better ease, and they end up wanting to regret having signed that pre-contract and sign another contract with the new club. But with this one, it's going to be interesting. There's going to be a verdict by the PSL Dispute Resolution Chamber on Tuesday, and if he's found guilty, he could be suspended for at least 6 months. But what is even more interesting is that he still had a contract with Free State Stars. Yeah. So now, where does that leave Free State Stars? Because it was not an agreement between a player and the club. Chiefs had to pay for his services, had to actually compensate Free State Stars. So where does that leave Free State Stars? Even though I suspect that eventually they may turn around and say that we did not know that he had signed a pre-contract with Bloemfontein Celtic. Yes.
Now let's look at Sianda Xulu. He's now being, now people are talking about him as that guy who's going to replace Mashamaite at the back. Of course, he's experienced. He was in Russia for a couple of seasons where he was playing for FC Rostov. Do you see him fitting in at the back of that defense for Kaiser Chiefs?
Xulu is one of the best defenders to have been produced by South Africa. He needs to be in the national team on a regular basis. I think it doesn't matter who Chiefs get from now on. Xulu may remain the best signing of the season. His spell at Sundowns, he was very good.
He's invited to Barcelona for trials in 2012. I remember.
That's because he's gone through all the developmental stages. He was at Pakstawana, which was taken care of by the likes of Ted Dumitru and Sipho Kekana, the likes of Mampur. All the players that were in that team have actually gone on to Ngalande. Ngalande went on to play in Spain as well, in the La Liga. So it just goes on to show also the importance of development, because all those players that were in that Sundowns development have actually gone on to be big stars wherever they are.
Former Kaiser Chiefs goalsman Paul Trumpis Ntlanya was quoted during the week saying he's not really convinced about Bongani Ndulula being signed as the ultimate striker for Amakosi this coming season. How do you rate Ndulula? Ndulula.
I agree. I agree with him. I don't think Ndulula is the best signing that they could have gone for. But remember, some seasons back, Chiefs signed Nkosinathi Nhleko, and we all said, what are they doing? What do you expect from Nkosinathi Nhleko? So perhaps they are seeing something that we are not seeing in Ndulula. Ndulula, look, physically he's very strong as a striker. He's got a very good control of the ball. He has not been scoring goals. I would have not gone for Ndulula. I don't think he was the best striker that they could have gone for. And I also have an issue with Chiefs. I think at the moment they have Abra as well, and I think they also speaking to a striker from Garangua, Sipho from Garangua FC. They seem to be going for strikers. As much as they have made some very good signings, they still lack a kind of a playmaker kind of player. Somebody like Sipho Vilagazi from Vet.
Yeah, but apparently they are interested in Villa. Not only them, the big three teams in the country, yes, being Orlando Pirates and Sundowns. Yeah. But Vet seems not to be budging. So, which means they will have to, maybe this would be an opportunity for them to start producing those playmakers from within, from their own development structures. Because we hardly get to see players from Kaiser Chiefs development structures, but the only players that we get from the development mainly are goalkeepers.
Yes, that's a problem. You're right there. The fact that you have all the big teams focusing on one player speaks to our poverty in terms of quality in South Africa. We should be having those players. The Chiefs have managed to, in the past, they managed to produce the likes of Jabupule. But, since then, they have not been able to replace that. If you look at the Kaiser Chiefs,
but what do you attribute that to then?
They changed a lot. They changed a lot. When they produced those players, they had Farouk Khan. Farouk Khan was in charge of the Chiefs development, very knowledgeable, one of our best development gurus in South Africa. But they changed things around. He was working hand in hand with Mushine Tugral. That development was very, very efficient, but they changed things. They just took former players and got them involved in development. At the moment, they're saying that Brian Baloyi will return to Kaiser Chiefs to focus on development. Of course, they were good players, but are they good development coaches?
Let's now move to the issue of coaches. You earlier touched on the issue of Steve Komphela being announced not so long ago as the coach of Makosi. What do you think they've decided to go the local route this time around?
I think there was a bit of pressure. There was this perception that Kaiser Chiefs would not have a local coach in charge of their team. In fact, Kaiser Motaung at one stage had to defend his statement where he had said that there was no local coach good enough to coach Kaiser Chiefs, and then he had to justify that after that. So I think they were a bit under pressure about that. But I want to mention something to you, highlight something to you. Kaiser Chiefs, Kaiser Motaung, over the years, he has been very, very good when it comes to employing coaches. You look at, he brought coaches like Sergio Santos, your Ted Dumitru, your Mushine Tugral, Philip Trozier. Very good coaches that went on to win things in the country. Some were misses and some were hit. The likes of Stuart Baxter. When he signed Stuart Baxter, we all were skeptical about that decision. He came here, did not play the best football in the PSL, but he delivered stuff. So I think from that point of view, you can still give Steve Komphela the benefit of the doubt. So
just put your head on the block here, Klo. Do you see Steve Komphela defending this PSL title come end of 2015-2016 season?
Marumo, I'm going to be controversial here. There's very little in terms of little difference in terms of quality between the best teams and the bottom teams. And in one of the seasons, we had Moraga Swallows in the relegation, survived the relegation by
the skin of their teeth.
But the following season, they almost won the league. I think they finished second. So it does not happen anywhere in the world where you have a relegation contender, the very following season move to be a title contender. So the point that I'm making is that it's not so difficult to win the PSL in the PSL championship.
In a nutshell, what you're saying is Steve Komphela will be able to defend this league.
It is possible.
Okay. That's our SABC Digital sports producer, Sipho Kekana. We thank him as always for coming and being with us, helping us unpack all that makes headlines in the world of sports locally.